Recently, in June, during the National Investment Council meeting, Prime Minister Dato Sri Anwar has requested MITI, together with its agency, including SIRIM, MIDA, and all relevant agencies, to look at how to provide a guideline to regulate the data center. And we have to start dealing with the questions of power usage efficiency, effectiveness, PUE, followed by water usage effectiveness, and we're also dealing with carbon emission usage effectiveness, PUE, WUE, and CUE. But this is just really at the beginning. It's really at the beginning. We are the government, the multiple agencies within the government, yourself, we are all trying to grapple with how to manage and deal with data center and how to grow it, but not only growing the data center part of the business, but actually growing the larger business powered by data center. I think perhaps this is your objective today, and it is also the objective of the government, that it is to think about the industry and the business in a holistic manner. But it is not just in Malaysia that we are grappling with this new phenomena. The world is dealing with it. The world is all starting almost at the same time. And why I say the world is starting, well, data center is not new. While data center is not new, the world is grappling with something that happened at the same time. We're dealing with it at the same time because last year, the world entering into a new phase of AI, or generative AI. Generative AI is different from previously. The AI technology is energy intensive. Of course, the market size of AI will grow by 4 times within the next 6 years. 4x in the next 6 years, globally. And it will drive 15% annual growth in global data center energy demand over the next 6 years. Every year, 15% growth in energy demand. And it has affected major companies' net zero aspiration. Major companies now dealing with the question whether they will have the same net zero commitment or their net zero commitment is all affected by AI. I'm told ChatGPT queries consume about 10x more power than traditional Google inquiry. So the world is dealing with this. It is an opportunity. It is certainly an opportunity for countries like Malaysia, but it is, of course, a challenge for all of us as well. How do we, and I'm very glad that we are meeting today. I treasure this opportunity to see you, to talk to you, because we all have to sail this ship together. In the budget recently, Prime Minister Dato Sri Anwar, in one paragraph, mentioned this. I'm not sure whether you will be happy or not happy to listen, after you listen to this, but many of you must have already read it. The Prime Minister said this: the country, as in Malaysia, must embark on a new paradigm shift to attract more meaningful investment. We can no longer sustain the outdated approach of offering incentive and support to investors without considering the broader economic benefits. For instance, investment in data centers should not be pursued. It should not be pursued unless they bring tangible added value to the rakyat, such as high-paying job opportunities and knowledge transfer. A fresh shift in focus is now essential, ensuring that the support provided yields a multiplying effect that directly benefit the rakyat and the nation, and rather than just merely serving the profit motive of the investor companies. Now, this is a challenge for everyone. This is a challenge for everyone, that we must grow the data center business not just the infrastructure, but thinking about multiple challenges that we have to deal with. And let me outline some of the challenges that I think we can work together. As I say, we are in a new industry, and this new industry is at a new phase globally. Everyone is facing the same challenge, and this is the best time, I think, that we come together, work together, the government, the businesses, the user, and the wider industry. We can come together to look at how to build this and how to deal with the challenges that I will outline as follows. First, how to create jobs in this business. Now, this business on site doesn't create sufficient number of jobs. We all know that. But how do we generate the multiplying effect? Now, I must share with you this. I think I expect the leaders of this industry to come together to start thinking about these questions, because these questions is something that you will be asked, the government will be asked, everyone will be asking. Now, how do we think about jobs? The data center operators will have to ask about these jobs, this job question. You have to ask about the questions, what sort of jobs that we create out of this business? It may not be in situ, on site, but this industry will have to articulate that the data center industry is growing jobs at all levels. And that has to be articulated, including when I attended an event organized by EcoWorld. I told them, and that event was held in BBCC nearby. So I told them, I say, while you are developing this business, the data center in Sedena, in Kulai, in Iskandar Putri, the job may not have to be generated in situ, on site, but the people running the data center will have to start thinking about how to create services jobs in Kuala Lumpur, in Johor Bahru. Right? It has to come as a package. We have to start thinking about how to generate jobs from in other sites, and also in the on-site as well. We will have to start thinking about how to create jobs that pay well. I had this conversation with the Menteri Besar of Johor. He said he had a conversation with, he has made this public as well. He has made this public. He said he had conversation with data center operators. So he asked them, how much you pay your workers in Singapore? They say 4,000 Singh. Then he said, how much you pay in Malaysia? 4,000 ringgit. And then he got furious. Now, this is a question we have to ask. How do we create jobs that pay well? How do we benchmark pay? My advice to Malaysian industry, whether you're in data center or in any industry, do not benchmark Malaysian pay against pay in Vietnam. Right? So now when there are foreigners will come and say, you benchmark your engineer pay against, let's say, the cleaner's pay in Silicon Valley. You must pay Malaysian engineer more than the cleaners in Silicon Valley, because otherwise morally it's wrong for your ESG principle in your company globally. But more importantly, Malaysians will have to now see benchmarking in a different way. Malaysia is not a Vietnam plus. We are not just doing manufacturing, we are not just doing low-end manufacturing. Malaysia is a Singapore at a discount. Especially Iskandar Putri. So when we think about jobs, we think of pay. You have to say, okay, Singapore pay 4,000 Singh, we have to start thinking about paying more. You pay 2/3 of course, there are people who come to talk to the government, we don't have enough talent. I say there's no talent problem in Malaysia. The only problem is Malaysian talents are working in Singapore. And you pay 2/3 of Singapore pay, they come back. Okay? So this job question is very important. The job question is something that I hope the industry will come together to think about it. The second question, water. Okay? You mentioned a serious challenge. whether when there's water crunch, whether we are for data center or for the people. So the industry will have to start thinking about, as a whole industry, how to generate investment into creating water source. Again, citing a conversation I had with the Menteri Besar of Johor, and also I have made this public. Data center as an industry, you may want to group together to form an association and advocate for policy and create potential investment into new water sources. For instance, in the case of Johor, Southern Johor has many rivers. Most of the rivers are very dirty. Right? Whether we want to invest in reclaiming water from the river by cleaning up river, apart from other solutions. So how do we create social goods out of this process? Water is something that I think we all have to think about. And of course, there are the questions of localization. This is again a mandate by the Prime Minister to MITI, that Prime Minister requested MITI to seriously think about how to ensure that data center helps create localizations of at least equipment industry, so that we don't just import server racks. And just for your information, over the last few months, the importation of server rack has resulted in nearly a balance of payment challenge, because the huge amount of importation of server rack is now showing up in the balance of payment. How do we take this opportunity to localize? How do we work with you, the industry player, to create Malaysian equipment for the domestic consumption of a new data center, as well as for potential export, taking the advantage, as you mentioned, of Malaysia's very strong metal fabrication as well as equipment industry that has been serving the semiconductor industry. So I think this is a question that I hope we'll all think about together. And on the part of the government will also have to start thinking about how to seriously consider localization clause in the data center industry. That's something that we will have to deal with. And as a whole, the nation will also have to work with you, especially the more established data center operators, to regulate so that there's no speculative build. AI is going to power a lot more demand for data center, but at the same time, we also need to ensure that there's no speculative build. And to ensure there's no speculative build is something that it is in your interest. It is in the interest of data center operator to think about, to ensure there is no speculative build in this industry. And I'll come back to the fifth challenge and the final challenge, energy. Okay. I think everyone is grappling with it. Not just here, the big boys, the big companies, they're all grappling with the question of energy. I don't offer a solution today on energy, but as I say, we are all dealing with the questions of transition. The Malaysian government made a firm commitment this year. So 2 years ago, the commitment is to reach net zero as soon as 2050. That was the original commitment that the Malaysian government made. This year, Prime Minister Dato made a clearer commitment that Malaysia is to achieve net zero in 2050. So the question of steel, the question of data center, we will all have to circle back to the questions of achieving net zero by 2050 with the technology that we have now and with what we have not seen yet, or with what other places already have, yet we have not invested in. We will look to you. We look to you in the industrial player of data center. We look to you to come up with new solutions. We look to you to come up with new investment into renewable energy, and to create the potential, the investment into renewable energy so that we could reach net zero while developing your industry. Now, to sum up, I come here with the hope that eventually I'll see an association of data center operators. I come here with the hope that I want to see the industry coming together, building common policy platform, coming together, creating policy advocacy that will work for your industry, but also work for the nation. And as I outlined the 5 challenges, these are the challenges that we as government would have to answer, and we are answerable to the rakyat, to the people. And we hope we can work together so that this industry can flourish, yet nationally, everyone benefit from your industry. Thank you very much.